4-5.
I'm thinking you should.
Is there any particular reason for that?
Wait, hold on, Sleuth, 1 second. What's up, Ruffles?
I said I think you should.
Okay.
I'm saying go ahead. You have my
Okay.
approval with whatever you decide. I'm building the house. You build the order.
Fair enough. All right, so six of our recruits are fighters, 5 of them are rogues, 4 of them are clerics, 5 of them are rangers. What was the question, Sleuth?
Is there any particular reason you're going with Ranger? Like, outside of niche in the wilderness circumstances, rogues are typically just better than Rangers.
I said I'd have to agree with them. It'd be
That's
better to have more rogues and less rangers, because most of the, like I said, the entire order, the idea was they're going to be trained as knights who are also
point.
spies, not
Good
spies
point.
who are also knights.
Fair enough. So, what? Dump that back down to 2?
I think so.
All right. So, so we're so 6642 leaves us at 18. So, do we want to stick it at 7-7 for fighter rogue?
Well, I would also think about the fact that we need leadership positions, and those don't really need to be class specific. A paladin can be just as effective leader as a fighter, as is a monk just as effective, in a leadership position.
It's more going for our force composition at base.
I know your thought process is so we can train them, but at the same time, they can train themselves with an effective leader.
Okay, so what do you think I should just leave those 2 blank?
I mean, can there be unclassed level people or not really?
I mean, you can hire just laborers who aren't trained in anything.
I mean, let's see. Under, you said that they'd be coming in as, if we ever ended up using them in campaign, as sidekicks?
Yes.
All right. Bear with me a moment, gentlemen.
Are you trying to keep the pool of classes small for any particular reason? Like, is there a reason you don't want like a bard and a wizard?
He's going
for the
with
last 2?
what our party composition is.
So
So
the
that
sidekick classes, there's basically 3 kinds. There are the warrior, the expert, and the spellcaster. And I believe you can specialize them in a couple of different ways. But broadly speaking, think like the classic D&D classes. You got your fighting man, you've got the priest, the magic user, and the thief. Those are basically the general outlines of the NPCs you would be training under as sidekicks. Specific classes within them, like if you want someone to be more of a ranger, that would just be like that particular rogue or fighting man would be built to be more specialized in that type of arena when you decided to bring them into the fold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, almost like a XCOM type system.
I suppose. My point is you don't need to be as specific as saying, a ranger.
Like a character fills an archetype rather than a class.
Right. Think of it that way. And that's why the names I used weren't the names of classes for the most part.
So we've got 20 people to play with.
Yeah, fortunately, the region you're in is pretty diverse in terms of skills, so you're not going to have a problem finding a good mix of people. As long as you don't want all 20 of them to be, magic users or priests. Just because there are limits to what people would be, but as long as you keep it reasonable.
So I'm editing this right now. So I've got 8 martial, 8 expert, and just put the rest into spellcaster.
Well, yeah, if you want to have a order of healers. You want the list that I had come up with earlier of the 18?
Sure. Let me see that. Police force.
Well, yeah, for like our local constable.
Human adult, elven child, dwarven child, they're all in their early 30s.
Pretty much.
Hold on. And could you repost the name of our order, Ruffles?
Oh, Aptar?
Yeah. What is it? Turkish?
Yeah, it's Turkish for moron.
Very fitting.
Well, funny enough, Swag's the one that actually suggested it.
Wonder if my dog would recognize that name. It's from Turkey. It's also an idiot.
I don't know if that's how it works.
There's a chance, and it's not quite a 0 chance.
All right. Hold on. So we're gonna want to shuffle that around then, Ruffles, because we were
Alright.
at 884.
Well, go ahead and copy that, and I'll just delete my message.
All right.
And
one
then you
second.
can go in and edit it.
All right.
Wonder, are these archetypes in one of the books, or is this something that you're just making up to?
They're
Sidekick.
from the sidekicks in Tasha's.
Gosh,
Yeah, the names are different. Like I said, they use expert, fighters, and spellcaster. But I was saying, spellcaster we can basically divide into like priest and arcane magic user.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're on page 142 of Tasha's. They have the expert, the spellcaster, and the warrior. With the expert kind of being what looks to be a bit of a cross between a rogue and a bit of a bard at the higher levels. The spellcaster straight up tells you, okay, you need to pick whether you want to be a mage, a healer, or a prodigy. Whether you want to be an int, wizard, charisma caster.
Mm-hmm.
And the warrior is just basically a fighter.
Yeah.
Frankly, they should have, just as a nod to the older games, they should have just used the old D&D like first edition classes, except for elf.
Love that elf was a class.
Back when knife user was a multi-class option.
Wait a second. Why are these all? What the fuck's with all the elves?
You've angered Gilbert.
I used an RNG.
A likely story.
Oh, whoops. 1 second. Okay, there we go.
Only 3 spellcasters.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, then I'd also recommend specifying in the expert order. Some of those are children. I was just copying, pasting apprentice.
Right. Give me. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, okay. There's only 17 in here. Okay.
Yeah, remember there's only 17 in the list that I had because there's the commander, his second lieutenant, or his lieutenant, and then the spy master. The actual lead of the
Post their
intelligence
info,
gathering.
please.
And I'd say pull Spy Master out of Expert, Commander out of Spellcaster, and the Lieutenant out of Marshal.
We'll add 2. That list is incomplete. There's only 17 slots filled there.
Okay. Ruffles, do me a favor. Post their info.
Yep. 1 second. Gotta find it.
Also, wait. Tieflings are playable?
Yeah.
I just keep forgetting.
Yeah, the only restrictions on races I set was no monstrous ones. Tieflings are not monstrous.
Right.
Gilbert, Balthor was a tiefling.
Look, I've gotten very used to the human, dwarf, elf, gnome quartet that this group has a habit of using. Because for some reason our group is a statistical anomaly where not everybody is trying to be a tiefling.
That's because we don't overvalue flight. A lot of groups overvalue flight.
The Friday boys finally learned that flight doesn't matter.
It does matter. Let me be clear. It does matter.
I know,
but
you know
they're
what I mean.
yeah, I know what you
They
mean.
had a elevation competition. every other one of them was bringing in a flying character every time they died when we were doing the Tomb of Annihilation. So I was like, Truth and Peninsula. Wow, what's the campaign?
Ba-dur, 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 ba-dur. Ba-dur, ba-dur, ba-dur.
Yeah, while you guys are doing this, I'm trying to figure out NPC casting services. An actual rational method where it's not just me making it up all the time.
Don't mind me, as I'm definitely not trying to peek behind your screen there.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's more trying to figure out a reasonable cost modeling for it.
I
Petition the powers that be for an answer, reach into the warp, and throw whatever you pull out at us.
I mean, my current plan is I'm actually going to use what you posted back when I took Sense Eyes.
The 10 gold per spell level times the caster's level.
Sort of, not the exact formula, but like that formula. I'm just messing around with which multiplier number I want to use.
Right. See, the thing I dislike about that is it ends up meaning that to get a 17th level caster, which is the minimum, to cast a 9th level spell on you is only 1,500 gold. That seems really low.
I don't know.
I
1,500 gold for Wish sounds pretty reasonable to me.
My mindset, at least when I was kind of looking at it, is 9th level. I effectively don't consider in the calculation because of the small number of people that have access to it.
Well, that's fine, but even like a 5th level spell is only 450 gold. Like, it's beyond your peasants, but adventurers that might need a 5th level spell, that
at a chump change.
yeah, it seems a bit low.
Yeah, when we just spent 50,000 on a mansion.
Like,
Well, it also
why?
depends on how much money the party's getting in a campaign. I tend to be
money's
much
always
more
easy to get.
stingy about money than Under is.
Right, so I'm
Uh,
actually looking at more of an exponential type thing, where my formula is a little bit more complicated than the DMG's.
And once you have fabricate, and you can just transform trees into longbows for an army.
There's laws about wizards being able to do that now. No, you cannot put our economy out of business, you rat bastard.
You're not putting the economy out of business, just the military-industrial complex, which is only the economy if you're in the United States.
Or in a setting Gilbert produced. Wait,
There's a
hold on.
difference.
What was that DMG formula from the old editions again?
10 gold per spell level times the caster's level. So if you petition a high level spellcaster to cast a low level spell, it still adds a high multiplier to it, plus any material component costs.
All right,
That's
10
like the
gold
base. That's the
spell
base
level
cost with no profit.
times caster level.
Mhm.
And what was the other part?
Material component.
Plus any material costs.
How much money do you guys actually have on Monday?
Yes.
Hardly.
I know we just spent a bunch. I know we don't have a lot.
Where is the Google Drive thing for the Saturday or the Monday campaign?
He has one for both.
I have one for both. I also have a backup for Friday because I know they're not very good at math. They're actually in charge of the party inventory on Friday. I don't take care of it, Gilbert.
Oh god. The Ultra Smurf in me is rolling in my Ceramite.
Yeah, right now we got $250 in our pocket, unless they got more when I wasn't there.
How do you make something bold in Discord?
Star.
Double star, both sides of it. Couple of asterisks on each end.
That italicized.
2 on each end.
Oh, 2.
Yep. One is italicized, so if you did 3, it would italicize and bold.
Okay, well, I have reverse engineered the formula that they used to calculate that that thing in a
So
way that
Gil-
allows me to edit it easily.
Gilbert, if you turned those Italian, why could I still read them?
Because they were always Italian.
Why did you have to Italianize them if they were already Italian?
You could read them, obviously.
Not sure the logic follows. I'll let it pass
All right,
this
so the
time.
Knights of Aptalar trefoil composition. We have the command cadre at the center, and each of the foils being martial, spellcaster, and expert. Those are tentative working titles for the purposes of actually having something written on paper.
Ah, hell, that's a stupidly complicated formula. I like it.
How bad is it?
Uh,
How's that look, Ruffles?
well, I'll see if I can get the a nice, pretty print version of this math formula.
Looks good. I'd still recommend sprinkling in a couple of children down in the expert order.
Oh, yeah, that's an edit I haven't gotten to yet.
Yep, no good.
Wait. So why? So yeah, adult, child, and
I-
what's the apprentice part? You're just copying?
Yeah, I was copy pasting. Basically, apprentices I was considering anything older than like 10 and younger than 16.
Adolescents.
Yeah, essentially. So children would be like the most malleable. The apprentices are familiar with their trade, and then the adults are, fully trained and would be helping with the mastercraft side of things, getting the children trained up.
Are we starting a cult? Are we the bad guys?
No,
Yes.
it's knightly order.
Very much a knightly order of spies.
Also, I'm editing some of your racial picks.
Oh yeah, go ahead. That was all of that was RNG based off of
There was
what.
no gnome in the spellcasting order.
Oh well, I was just going off of the region that under it said it was mostly elves and humans.
Never roam without a gnome.
We don't want the Liberation Front getting suspicious about discrimination against their fellows.
Okay, so most of the children are located over in the expert order.
Okay, I mean that works.
But no sleuth. We're not making a cult. It's a knightly order. Where yearly on the solstice they commit mass suicide.
You can't fool me with your funny words, Magic Man.
You just missed what he said. You weren't here for that discussion, and I laughed very hard, Gilbert. I that was a spit take laugh. I just didn't unmute myself. Because it was when he said we're making a cult, and then you said that, I was like, oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
That is a cult.
It's are the Dark Angels a cult? Are the Ultramarines and the Salamanders a cult? Yeah, probably.
I mean,
They
what's
are Space
their
Marines.
what's their MO for recruiting new people? Take in like early adolescents, teach them to hate everyone who's different from them, heavily augment and radically change their biological functions.
Oh, I
Make them
did come up with a crest and creed. I haven't designed the crest yet, but it's in the works.
we should have gone just full Eminence and Shadow with this.
I didn't want to because that's too much of a draw of attention. Why is this knightly order talking about being shadowy and spy-y?
Because we're super spies that work in the shadows.
Yeah, but our front is that we're a bunch of knights. If you're a bunch of
We don't
knights
need-
that your creed is all focused around being spy and shadowy, it's like, I wonder if those knights are on the level. I don't trust them.
It's a knightly order. It just has a very strong intelligence bent.
And by strong intelligence bend, he means 99% of it is intelligence based.
Should have gone full Eminence and Shadow.
Like yeah, it's a knightly order. They have a bit of a hospitaller section, just kind of making things seem normal. The martial order is there for its military needs, and the expert element of it functioning. What was the best way to put this idea? Effectively, that if ours is the knightly order that when we no knock raid, we actually get the correct house.
And then we blow it up from the inside.
Now we go visit all the neighbors just to make sure we got all the right houses. I've played with this group long enough.
We actually did that in Lushingworth.
What?
Made sure the neighbors weren't home and then blew up the house.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys are very much getting a crash course in this group's learned method of war, in that it is using carefully acquired intelligence to deliver maximum amounts of martial violence very precisely.
What did you think of the creed, by the way?
I like it. Although, wait, hold on, what's chivalry? Whose
Chivalry?
version of chivalry?
Under, what's your version of chivalry in the world?
Depends on who you ask.
Excellent.
If it's up for debate, it's perfect.
Of course, it's up for debate.
The more interpretations, the better.
Let's see. The Code of Chivalry as it stood in the late medieval ages was a moral system which combined a warrior ethos, knightly piety, and courtly manners, all combined into a notion of honor and nobility. I like how that fits, but doesn't quite seem to fit comfortably. Keep it in.
Just enough to make you uncomfortable. Perfect.
there are many ways to cure the problems of society. Typically, it's best to do it by like actually treating the problem.
But we have all these high explosives laying around, and not using them would just be such a waste.
Well, I mean, think
Speaking
about
of, we
it.
do actually have quite a bit of high explosives
Yeah.
laying around.
Yeah.
I know.
We also have cocaine.
It's great. This knightly order already resembles our party's preferred method of acting.
Are you sure we didn't just turn into the United States Marines? We haven't
Yeah, I'm
invented
pretty
crayons
certain.
yet. Fuck.
I'm pretty certain we have an expert order. We definitely have people in our knightly order who can read.
So
Yeah, I mean,
for spellcasting services, what do you guys think of this cost table based on that formula?
I like that.
I like it.
And that's just the not.
That's just
non-profit.
spellcasting services. That's not including this is the base cost to hire someone to do this. Certain regions where there are more spellcasters or less spellcasters will apply a factor to this that would make it more or less expensive, plus any material component costs. If they have to procure it for you, they probably will charge you above the cost of the material component itself.
I like it. The only note I can think of is, especially when you start getting into that 8th and 9th level zone, a lot of those spells are not created equal.
Yeah. This isn't to guarantee that a caster is available. This is if there's a spellcaster of a level that can cast a spell of that sphere.
This is the minimum they're charging you.
This is kind of like the economic value of them casting that spell for you. Sans any other cost, and it presupposes their willingness to do so.
That makes sense. I like it.
So often, like if you find like a high level cleric, yeah, he'll be willing to cast a True Resurrection. It's gonna cost you, like the 5,000 gold of diamonds plus 7,500 gold for the casting itself.
Yeah, so like 15. If you figure it's a low value reason, it'd probably push up to like 15,000.
Yeah, you're going to be looking at somewhere between 13 and 15,000 gold, all in to get True Resurrection cast on somebody, which is a pretty which is pretty high, but also not beyond the means of a high level adventuring party.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because I would like to point out that 15,000 gold is the amount of money that it would cost to build like a fortified watchtower or a small outpost or fort.
or outfit a full squad with high-end mundane gear.
Like,
That makes sense.
10 people, plate armor, shield, sword.
So
some
this
ranged
will
weapon.
probably be the formula I use going forward for NPC casting services.
And because I have absolutely no desire to increase confusion, I shall also adopt this system.
That is up to you.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I'm 100% going to adopt it. If there's one thing I have found, having similar rules between Saturday and Monday, at least for me, helps me keep the information straight.
But you should make things mildly inconvenient and everything costs 1 extra silver.
No, 1 extra electrum.
I'm changing my economic system to the Electrum
Oh,
standard.
oh yeah, sorry. That's assuming gold pieces for that, by the way.
I
If
certainly
was
hope it
platinum,
wasn't
dear
copper.
God. Oh, copper. Yeah, if it's copper, I'm all in. 75 gold for a 9th level spell.
Yeah, 75 gold for a 9th level spell. How many 9th level wizards are there? Look, guys, Wish is a
9th level
real
wizards?
problem.
I mean, they're only capable of casting 5th sphere spells.
17th level.
17th level?
We're
They're
talking
very
about the
few.
spell level.
Yeah, he's making the joke of let's go cast wish with.
There's a
75 gold
reason I
pieces
used a
and-
different term for that in the formula.
Yeah. Well, I was joking. It's like, well, yeah, if it was measured in copper pieces, that would mean the value of a 9th level spell is really low. How many 9th level spellcasters are there?
On a scale of 1 to 10, 70.
I'll admit, whenever I'm doing the background stuff within my campaigns, there are people that are high level. They're just not. I've always viewed like 8th and 9th level spells as there are as many NPCs that know them as the DM needs to make encounters happen within reason.
And then there's the flump.
Hey, there's a reason that Flump had that kind of power. You guys just didn't really stick around or investigate it.
We had other issues on our mind.
Yep. Now you guys are cornered by Drow.
No,
What
we're
do you mean
not.
cornered? We're in a
The
target-rich
drow are cornered
environment.
by
The
us.
drow,
Not cornered, surrounded.
the drow have made a very critical tactical issue of getting themselves between us and the exit. This will end very badly for them.
The party breaks out of the cave, and they can see the Drow have gathered their forces in full honors. The banners are waving overhead, and they've left a corridor for you guys to leave through.
And we march just like in a full-on triumphant parade through the drow lines. The prisoners having no idea what's going on.
Why are they all just sitting there? Because they know.
Because we allowed them to.
We have allowed these Drow the dignity of seeing us off on our
All right, so-
triumph.
I haven't drawn any doors in yet, but this is the general what the layout looks like right now. So that large room in the center of the north there is going to be like a common area, sort of. Like it'll have a little bit of a library, it'll have a little bit of a dining area. And then there's 6 rooms surrounding that are our essential bedrooms, essentially.
Okay, Sleuth, I love what you posted there.
Which one? The mind control.
Yes. Open the relic.
Oh, and then that 25 by 50 room, that big room, will also have the stairs to the 2nd floor in it.
Oh, that reminds me, I was going to see if I found a few free Steam games that look like they're made for building D&D. I'll send them to you people if they end up being any good.
Under, if I recall, that area of desolate forests, that's where the meteorite hit, right?
Yes, you guys dealt with that in the previous campaign. That's where you ran into the Glimmerlings.
Why does it still look like it sucks ass to live in?
Because it hasn't regrown. That area is still heavily damaged.
The reason is because it does.
Are we talking about the little triangle of green, or the little triangle of brown, or the big blotch of brown below Bexmark?
The area below Bexmark, that's just a bit of a low swampy area.
Oh, okay. So that's swamp. All right.
It's not swamp. It's let me see if I can find one. Forest wetlands.
Oh, okay. So
You know there isn't like pools of standing water. That's more to the west. Like between Lushingworth and the Wasting Way, those like along the
Gowdrath.
yeah, like where the text reads Gowdrath, that's the symbol for swamp.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sucky place.
Yeah, that's kind of like think of an area between like a hill on one side and then it like dips down below like your elevation negative below sea level and then it kind of comes up above. You're basically really close or at the water table in that region.
Mhm.
But it's not
wet.
like standing water swamp. You still have trees and stuff growing up there normally. It's wet. It's damp. It makes it difficult to build there, especially. Travel and build through that area, and even clearing it is a pain in the ass. Modern times, with modern equipment, we respond to that with bulldozers and bringing in hundreds of tons of clay to spread down on the surface. And then we can build on
Yep.
it.
Yep. I have personal experience with that because my entire yard is clay basin. I have
Yeah.
it's farm field, so I have 2 feet or so of topsoil, and then below that extends down about 10 feet of clay.
Yeah. Or, sorry, the area by Gowdrath is actually, that's marsh. The swamp is where the Wasting Way goes through, and
Yep.
the Sunken Library is.
Meanwhile, we got, what's that?
Okay.
Grazing lands to the north of it. Farmland
Yeah.
to the south.
It dries out as you get above sea level. The ground is slowly sloping upward in that area. So eventually you reach the point where you're no longer below the water table, and you kind of have like a grassland, almost a prairie. And then it starts getting into the hills and the forests by Ivory Hollow. The hills are rather low. They're more like rolling pasture hills.
What's the section of yellow triangle just north of Swartford?
Scrubland.
Scrubland? Okay. So
Yeah.
like dry, low brush.
Low brush, it can be dry. In this case, it is it's for whatever reason trees didn't grow there. Like in densities that the Bexmark Woods would have been known for. In modern terms, that's an indication that you have some type of subterranean geological formation there that's preventing deep roots, like a clay basin.
We'll take the clay basin and push it somewhere else and reclaim 3 tiles worth of terrain.
Well, no, actually, I was thinking if that's clay basin, that would actually be a really good spot for the subterranean training facility.
The secret facility in the Bexmark Woods.
Oh yeah.
Edge of the Bexmark Woods.
Well, no, that specifically that triangle because there's no real reason for anyone to go there, unless they're small game hunting, which they can do just as easily anywhere else because the woods are adequate for all of that. It'd be a good spot for a secret base. It's not too far away from Swartford.
Oh no, if you want a real good location for the secret base, we need to reclaim the Sunken Library. After it's extra
Yeah, but then we need to
sunken.
refloat the Sunken Library.
No. See, look. Legion of Doom. Ruffles. We build it under the swamp.
Ah, so you're saying we
Everything's
drain
better.
the Sunken Library.
Everything's
magically
better
seal
down
it.
where it's wetter.
Yes.
Gilbert wouldn't get that one.
What? Everything's better down where it's wetter? It's a Little Mermaid.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
surprised you did.
Why would I not get that?
Because it's not
'Cause you're
just Little
uncultured.
Mermaid.
I literally made the joke when the library sunk. I said, what was it I went with? Reading is better down where it's wetter. But no, what were you saying about why I wouldn't get it?
Because it's a reference to sex.
Oh! Yes, I did not get that. Terminology added to dictionary.
That's what I was referencing.
Actually, what's the difference between the circles with a square and the circles with a dot?
Hang on. Circles with a square and circles with a dot. Ah! So the dots along the road are villages or small towns. A circle, a square represents a military installation like a fort. A circle around one of those symbols indicates that it is fortified and walled. So Lushingworth is a walled city, so it has a circle around its dot. Galdrath is a castle, so it's got a curtain wall, so it's a walled fort. Ivory Hollow is another major city and is actually and was built with fortifications and walls. The minor kind of trading post Chevaward between Ivory Hollow and Lushingworth, it's really, bordering on the large village, small town, but it doesn't have a current wall. It's not really fortified. Under a siege, those people are kind of fucked in a war scenario. They're heading inland. Swartfurt is just a village. It's a fishing village. There's no fortifications whatsoever until you guys build your stuff. But if you don't wall the entire city, you'll never get a circle around the dot. That's generally just what I'd use as a symbol difference between this is a walled city or this is not a walled city, because the presence of walls indicates generally that city is large and important. It's a major city. Even if it doesn't have a large population, it's important.
We're going to build walls around Swartfurt. Somebody's going to look at it on the map and go, oh, this is a large, important city. Get there. The fuck is this? Like 100 people here.
It is important because you guys are going to come and kick their entire country's ass and decapitate their government just for looking at it funny.
It is our precious. You don't fuck with our precious.
Don't fuck with our precious. Knights of Aptalar. Stab this man in the nuts. And that's when his valet, his butler, his main bodyguard, and 3 of the local bushes all take turns taking shots at him.
You joke, but that's basically how it goes.
I just realized another reason why this map looks so aesthetically pleasing to me. Bigger hexes.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It
I'm
feels
not
more
sh-
open.
I'm not sure how to feel about all the big hexes intersecting at the center of smaller hexes. I haven't decided whether I like it or hate it yet.
It's more because I use those big hexes for distance calculations, so you notice they go flat to flat.
Yeah.
That's why.
Like,
that's how they're sized.
Logically, it makes sense. I just haven't decided whether it's going to piss me off later or if I'm going to appreciate it for making sense.
Alrighty, so let's see here. Knights of Aptalar. We have a motto. We have a hypothetical crest. We have our 3 trifoils in our command cadre. I suppose the next rational thing would be, how is its command structure organized?
The person with the spiffiest hat has the most authority.
No, we're not giving Under that much authority again.
When has that
Saturday
ever
D&D
steered us wrong?
campaign, he has literally the most authority.
I know, that's
What-
why I was making the joke.
When has giving Under unquestioned authority over literally everything ever steered us wrong?
Every single time,
What do you mean?
without fail.
Have you seen the kind of tomfuckery we get into?
Yes. We engage in like local tomfuckery. Maybe the local communities get screwed over, but Underdark engages unintentionally or intentionally with world-shattering causality events.
Yes, and it's hilarious.
All right. So let's see. So what? The commander themselves is the overall commander of
Yeah.
all 3 orders, with the spy master and lieutenant also heading up their particular cadres.
Yeah, and then the healer wing, so to speak, doesn't really have any leadership because they don't need leadership. Like, their job is just to heal. You don't need somebody in charge to dictate. If anything, it'll slow healing down.
Hey, that's 1 stitch too many. Take it out.
Huh?
He's saying if there was a lead surgeon yelling at the other surgeons, that's 1 stitch too many. Wasting time.
Micromanagement.
The micromanaging Dr. Kadra.
Corporate management. We're stuck in the mud, so we're going to get 6 more managers to whip the same horse. Alrighty, well let's go through and start naming them.
George.
Okay,
All of them.
martial order, human adult. What are we naming them?
George.
George.
Jorg.
All right, George.
Gord.
The next one's also George.
All right, next human adult.
Also George.
No.
George 2. Another George.
Okay, fine. We can have 2 Georges.
Now we have a George, and we have an also George.
It's a very ha-ha funny thing in the martial order. Okay, Elven Child.
George.
Egrog.
What?
Egrog. It's spelled Egroeg.
They have to walk backwards.
Also,
You know
if
what?
you're talking, you're not coming through.
Yeah, I'll just handle this on the Germanic name generator.
He's hitting his push to talk key.
Sorry, I use control for my push to talk key. And I'm making notes about how you guys are setting up the Knights of Aptalar in case it ever comes up again.
Guys, he's making notes.
That's good. That's
Good.
good.
Yeah, that means I don't have to keep my notes on it.
It's great. It means that we'll design this knightly order, and Underdark will look at the results and look at his notes, and for the next campaign setting, He'll look at how badly we designed it and be like, all right, well, the changelings took over literally the first time you guys mass committed suicide. Easiest replacement they've ever done.
Right, right. Like the whole order basically revolted because when it came time to do this mass suicide, you guys were the only ones that did it, and they just didn't bother to raise you.
Wait, why would we commit mass suicide? We know we're not changelings. I'm joking.
Do you?
You got me, Spectre. I'm deep cover.
I mean, if we're going with Germanic, we definitely have to have a Siegfried.
Obviously. It's a classic.
You know what we should really do? We should give our spy master unquestioned and unmonitored authority over the entire expert branch. Because that could
Awesome.
never possibly go wrong.
Well, they answer to me. So,
You think they answer to you.
Actually, that's a good question. Where do we fit into this command cadre?
we secede all of them. We outrank all of them. Like the commanders and the commander, the lieutenant, and the spy master all know that. Like that wouldn't be a question.
It needs to be in the paperwork.
All right, here's your list of names.
So the command cadre is just there for when we're away.
No, they run it even when we're around. They take care of all the day to day. They do all the managing it. And it's basically just there for if we want to use them for anything or for like primarily information gathering. That's the point of a spy network.
Okay, so where do we fit into its apparatus?
I do not understand the question. We're the boss. It's our company of men to do whatever.
Well,
Like
we ranks and titles are required for knightly order, Ruffles. What am I calling us? Wait, hold
I
on.
have to think about that.
Hold on. This is gonna grow, right?
Yes, obviously. This is
Okay.
the start.
Give me a second then.
The Order of the Cloaked Dagger?
I will create a series of command cadre titles. All right. So let's see here.
I mean, do we want to just go with as cliche as possible?
I
'Cause
mean,
there's two options we can go with that are just on the nose cliche as possible.
what do you mean?
Lord Commander Eminence.
Oh, I was being even more on the nose.
What were you gonna go with?
Chapter Master.
Yeah.
More, I'm like slotting in a series of command cadre titles for organizational reasons. Just give me a second while I type it up. And we can figure out where to shuffle people. 'Cause
Yeah, no,
technically-
I get what you're doing. You're doing the full cover to cover.
right.
I don't know how useful this will actually be, but it seems interesting.
I like interesting.
Uh, the lack of grid snapping, as far as I'm aware, is a little bit inconvenient for making things line up nicely, but if that's the worst this has, that's not much of a problem.
Does it have an option for a square grid or no?
It does. I just don't know how to change
Okay.
it the right way.
Here's a question. Practically speaking, how
Oh.
large should we be expecting this order to get initially before a second locale would have to be established?
Define initially. Like with the guild house that we have established right now? Like with just the guild hall, no secondary base?
No, long-term structure.
Well, that's why I'm asking. What do you mean by initially?
So we're currently in the initial induction phase. Effectively speaking, with 20 knights, our order would be, in most cases, considered understaffed.
Yes, but
This is just our order founding.
yes, this is the foundling, the pledgelings, the initial
Right.
startup. So I would the guild hall, I would imagine. Let's see, we paid 5,000 for it, so it's probably big enough to house probably about maybe 30 comfortably, 40 under.
Sorry, what?
We paid 5,000 for the guild hall. How many can that sleep comfortably before we're starting to worry about overcrowding it?
Probably
Like,
about
if barracks
50.
is 50? Okay. So that's your number then, Gilbert. Before
Alright.
we need to worry about growth being a problem, yeah, we'll have to worry until we have about 50 members. Because that's how much.
Because you're
the
setting them
guild
up
hall
as
needs to sleep.
barracks rather than individual rooms, so you can fit, a fairly large number of people in a somewhat small space that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 50 is the number then, Gilbert. Then once we reach 50,
All right, and how many
then
party
we'll
members?
start considering. What's that?
And how many party members do we effectively have?
7, if you count Jake.
Okay.
6 with Burger, 7 with Jake, 5 regulars.
And don't forget to subtract Pete because he did not become a knight. Or I
Yeah,
should say
no.
stone suit.
Pete will be an honorary regardless. He's not actually a full-fledged member, but his character is honorary, respected by our guild. In all intents and purpose, he has the same authority we do. He just doesn't have a title.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't have the authority of the letter of marque from the government that we have, but when it comes to anything to do with our knights, yeah, she has just as much leadership position as we do.
All right. So, as I'm designing the full structure of this organization, I am going to be slotting party members in under position titles. No shit, I have you as spy master.
I would not have expected you to put me in any other position. My character is literally a spy master build.
All right, so I'm going to put you in as the apothecary.
I mean, you can get some wonky drugs. They probably won't heal you, but they'll take you somewhere.
All right. Librarian. What's Mr.'s character?
Mr. I would say would be more of your alchemical apothecary, whatever. If
Given the healing aspect of the order,
you're gonna get NPC that position,
would you trust Mr. to be the chief doctor?
yeah.
And that's why I'm putting him in the library.
Yeah, I guess that fits too, because he's more of a research scientist than a health scientist.
Exactly. The apothecary is the one who's handling, like, the people have injuries. What was his character's name?
Mister? It's Stein, Dr. Stein. How do I know all of this?
You're the spy master. It's your job to know things.
And I sure as fuck drink and know things. So happy with myself. I put a fucking screw on my wall outside to hang my dog's leash on. I was for the longest time clipping it on the lip that the screen door provides.
Sleuth, what are Teresa's skills and abilities?
Bow.
Do you just want to give me your character sheet?
Yeah.
Okay.
She has expertise in stealth and investigation, proficiency in thieves' tools, sleight of hand, performance perception, and arcana.
Welcome
And
back, Pete.
expertise.
Yeah, I'm back.
I mean, like, send it
Um,
to me.
Yeah,
It's easier for me to have a visual reference.
comprehensible.
You haven't missed much, Pete. I'm effectively going full Rebute on this.
What the hell was this spell sphere caster level thing I'm looking at?
Prices.
While they were coming up with names for the people in their knightly order, I decided that I wanted a more structured approach to what it costs to have a NPC cast a spell for you. I disliked the one that was given to me, and so I came up with a better one. And then I shared the formula I was using.
And then Gilbert shamelessly copied the formula.
The use of sphere instead of levels simply to avoid confusion.
Okay.
So yeah, if we find a 17th level caster that can cast 9th level spells, we can pay somewhere around 7,500 plus material costs plus market adjustment.
And we'll Sleuth
plus or
grabs
minus
the
market
PDF.
adjustment.
Here's a question. How is our knightly order being deployed?
Peacekeepers and healers that are doubling as spies.
What I mean is unit composition. Our like a standard deployment of our knights to the field. How are we like? What is the what's the word I'm looking for?
What are our detachment rules?
Yeah, basically.
Oh,
what is our like our base unit? Like
our cadre, a dozen with 3 healers, so 15.
Okay, because
If your
like
detachment
what is
includes
it?
Lucina, she must be your warlord.
Right, because like what is it? The U.S. military's smallest deployable unit is a squad of like what 5 or 10.
Depends what branch you're talking.
A typical
Average is 8.
infantry squad in the army is like 12 people.
Okay, 12.
Yeah.
People.
Well, if you're talking about like the Marine Corps, I don't think they organize on anything smaller than a platoon.
I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by deploy.
Yeah,
So-
they deploy a platoon, but the platoon has squads in it, and those squads operate independent of... They operate under the same function of the platoon's goal, but they operate independently.
I don't think we
Right.
deploy anything smaller than a company overseas.
What
Right,
I'm
I mean,
getting
they,
at is
like-
like what is the smallest
Oh, yeah.
unit of measurement outside of a dude? You know what I mean?
So typically,
then-
you go up from that to a fire team, which is half a squad.
All right. Is that the smallest division we want to be going with for deployments?
I would say the smallest group of people we could possibly send out, our squad, so to speak, would be 7. 5 knights, 2 healers.
Makes sense.
Okay.
That would be the smallest, rounded all the way down, the smallest group of people that would ever leave as a detachment.
Do we not have like offensive spellcasters, or are they so hard to come by that you wouldn't include them in a group of that size?
Well, based on the fact that we're going with knights, I mean, yeah,
Ah.
we'll probably have offensive spellcasters, but for simplicity's sake.
So you're having all of your spellcasters be healers.
Essentially.
All right, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's effectively that's the best way to get the way to describe it. As of course the organization increases, we can begin to have additional specialization. I'm building the Codex Aptalar with that in mind. But at that point, we'd probably treat additional people as attachments to that squad.
Attachments to the detachment.
Right.
Does this
Yeah.
this order of
It'll-
knights have a name?
Yes, the Knights of Aptalar.
Why is it called that?
So-
Swag
It's
suggested
an
it.
it's an apt name, but why are they called that?
Last week we were going over it because we were establishing the order, and Swag actually suggested it, and we liked the sound of it, and then we looked it up. It's moron in Turkish.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, we loved it. We immediately fell in love with it. We're like, yes, that's our order. That's our order. That's us. The Knights of Idiot.
Mm. The
Uh,
knights who say nincompoop.
Sleuth?
Yep.
Holy shit, Teresa's actually like a solid character in terms of like NPC competence. Those are all positive numbers. What the is this the right character? Are you
I think
not
so.
memeing with me right now?
Look, fighters are memes enough as they are.
What are we looking at here?
He's
My
got
character
burger
sheet.
sheet.
Oh,
Basically, as I'm designing the structure of the Knights of Aptalar, I am slotting our characters in at certain roles. The kind of thing that our character would be able to do and then train successors for. You know, people who will take our place in that structure.
Under what would you call a garage in the medieval times?
A carriage house.
Yeah.
A barn.
the
Well, no,
workshop.
it's a part of the main structure of the
A
Hell's Guild.
pen.
So typically,
Stables.
prior to the invention of the automobile, when you had horse-drawn carriages, they were typically housed in a separate structure on the grounds of your manor called a carriage house.
You could have an attached carriage house.
You could. Typically, you wouldn't build it like a modern attached garage. It would still be a separate structure, but you would have like a colonnaded and a roofed portico between the main building and the carriage house. So that in foul weather, you could walk to your carriage without getting wet.
Well, I'm going a little more modern with the. I'm pinning everything down right now, and that little section next to the interior entrance is actually going to be ground level, not having steps up to it, with steps inside going up into the structure.
Anachronism. Anachronism.
The reason you generally want the carriage house to be separate is because it was usually part of the stables, where you
it
kept the
stinks like
horses,
horseshit.
and no one wants to smell horse shit in their nice manner.
Well, no, that's the carriages are going to be stored there, and the horses are going to be brought out to the stable, which will be in that interior courtyard. But like for the actual riding carriages, they're stored in there, separate from the horses. Because we're adventurers, and that's where all of our shit is.
Well, practically speaking, given how a barn with horses is structured, you'd have an interior and exterior option for the winter.
Oh, this place is coming with heated floors, baby.
The one thing that occurs to me is that, like, if this were like a rich person's mansion, you definitely wouldn't want it next to where you're living. Because anytime you're going to have your carriage hitched up to take you somewhere, that's going to take some time. And you're going to hear the horses neighing and braying and, like, metal shit clanking and stable hands yelling at each other and whatnot. You want all of that away from the house. That way you can walk outside, they pull up, you get in, you pull off.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll take recommendations. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have some help on this. That's the current rough layout. I'm still adjusting things. That big 25 by 50 room is kind of like a general purpose common area. Still have like, comfortable seatings. It'll have a small dining area. It'll have a small library in it. It's a large room that adjoins all of the sleeping areas.
Mm.
Because it's basically like this house is just a big frat house, more or less, for adventurers.
Yeah. A knightly fraternity.
Well, no, this is our residence.
Yeah, a fraternal order of knights.
Well, the knights live in the other building. That's
Ah.
nowhere near this one.
Yeah, for some reason, Ruffles really doesn't like the idea of sharing a building with the knights. It's
That
very
doesn't.
weird.
That's not very. That doesn't foster camaraderie. I
Right?
feel like it would be better if we lived with them.
This is a show house. It's meant for entertaining guests.
So is a nightly keep.
Yeah,
I
just
mean, it's a little more
build that into the
Spartan,
keep.
but
Have some apartments built into it.
yeah. It really would be better if we just combined it.
Hmm.
It fosters camaraderie, presents a united face, and eliminates the distinction between the adventurer and the order.
All right.
Uh,
Well, let me
like-
here.
Like, it's doable for us to add amenities, but we should be designing the best, sturdiest structure to be the knightly order's primary structure as well.
I agree.
All right, 1 second. Let me get this up here.
I'll tell you what. If you want to have this big fancy show house that's like a sort of castle, like you've drawn out here, why
Well,
not just?
it's castle shaped. It's more villa manor in terms of like size and layout. It's a big flat building versus.
Yeah.
It's only going to be 2 stories tall.
Okay. So then, why not use the first story as a barracks for the knights, with maybe some of that like leaking up onto the second floor as needed. But then also on the second floor will be like some fancy apartments and rooms for entertaining guests and high society and whatnot. And then if we need more space, we can like build wooden structures attached to the wall.
I mean, part of me is wondering here, why are we entertaining high society out here at the keep?
Well, maybe if somebody wanted to come to us and I don't know. I mean, maybe you're right. It sounded like Fremont wanted this to be nice to a degree, which I feel should serve some purpose. It shouldn't. If it's
Yeah,
going to be
you
nice,
throw
there's
parties
no reason to.
like wealthy people in medieval times threw parties for no reason.
Yeah,
Look,
but if
if
this
some-
isn't the type of location where you would
Well-
do that, then maybe it doesn't need to be nice.
They
Hey, if
threw
some
parties
noble
for a
brats-
reason.
If some
All
noble
parties
brats
were
want to feel like adventurers and throw money at us, who are we to say no?
I mean, look, sometimes you just throw a party because you got a lot of butter and your kingdom's crumbling around you because you're too centrally located and everyone else is taking a big wet bite out of you. And your knights just aren't doing shit.
That sounds familiar for some reason.
Always make yourself centrally located.
What did the Swadian Empire do to you? Where did they hurt you?
It's not my fault to get eradicated every damn game. Like, no matter my best efforts.
designing it to be nice is something we can do, but like remember, this is nice by a medieval standard, and also nice by a knightly order standard.
Right.
Like if we make it too, how should I put this, vapidly luxurious, it doesn't look right. You know what I mean?
Draws the attention of ne'er-do-dos.
No.
Oh, 'cause
I
that's
mean,
what I was going for.
It undermines it. What? Why do
Why
you
go
want to?
find the bandits when you can just lure them to your house and kill them?
That's why we give the bard a villa on the outskirts.
Ruffles. What bandit is going to pick a fight with us?
Exactly. If
lot
they
of
know
dumb
we're
ones.
high-level adventurers and our house is filled with knights, they're never going to show up at the place. If they just think we're a bunch of rich, retired adventurers, they might try robbing us.
Ruffles. Any one of us could kill 100 bandits in short order. It's just a matter of methodology. Like, what? You want to make a separate luxurious structure for the purposes of being robbed once.
Well, yeah, for the memes.
Batman's parents walk into the alley and you're Bruce Wayne, you're Bruce Wayne's dad rubbing his nipples. Oh yeah, threatened to shoot me. Fucking weirdo. All right, so here's a question. In terms of
Here's an answer.
overall command, and yes, I plan on changing the names specifically once we get to it, but we got Chapter Master, Chief Apothecary, Chief Librarian, Spy Master. Can you think of any primary command roles that we'd need, like HQ stuff? Well, I suppose there'd be the administrative staff and the senior officers.
Probably liaisons between the three if they're going to be acting independently to any real degree.
I mean, that's kind of the point of the commander. If you have a singular commander who's in charge of the entirety overall directive of the order. And then his second in command is primary for the martial forces, and your spy master is primary for your expert forces. Then you have your healers, and they're kind of just doing their own thing, but they take orders from the commander.
Well, that's the idea. So the chief apothecary would oversee the medical staff. So we got the chapter master for overall command of the knightly order, the chief apothecary who handles the medical department, the chief librarian who handles the scriptorum type stuff, a castellan to handle the actual buildings, spy master for our spy network, Okay, so I currently just have three. So I currently have chapter master, chief apothecary, chief librarian, castellan, spy master, and then 3 senior officers.
Hmm.
Because we're considering base effective strength being 50 knights.
Yeah, and that's obviously going to be after a couple of years.
Right. Like I said, I'm building the apparatus for long term.
That sounds good.
All right, so I got to start slotting party members in. I have Stein as chief librarian, Freeman as spy master. Hey Pete, what kind of skills does Stone Soup have?
She can hit things.
Hit stuff really hard.
Yep.
Okay, tools.
No, we can do better than that. Let's see what would Stone Soup be good at?
Yeah, what is it? What is an administrative role I can put you in, if applicable?
I think Stone Soup would make
Lumberjack.
a good master at arms. She'll oversee all the training to make sure our knights are in tip top fighting condition. This will end great.
Okay. Sleuth.
Yep.
What about Teresa?
Good question. What about Teresa? Like she can do a little bit of everything
She's
except for a real spellcaster.
well, and then her background as well. She's ex-police force.
Yeah. So probably like I don't know, helping teach the whatever they call the experts how to actually conduct an investigation.
I mean, yes, all of us are able to teach the new recruits something. I'm talking actual like official job title position.
If I know.
Because so far we have overall chapter command, the medical branch, our scriptorum,
We don't have a head
our
constable.
head constable.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for Teresa.
Yes, but what are you envisioning this constable role doing?
The
Where do you see
leadership of
yourself in 5 years?
the leadership position of the peacekeeping force, not the knights that are meant to go out and fight in war, but just the local guard. Like that equivalent. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of them in Swartfurt, but there will be a handful of constables. And somebody's got to oversee them.
Okay, so it sounds
I'm
like that
sorry,
would
the PDF.
so that itself could, for efficiency of bureaucratic reasons, be lumped under a simple squad-sized deployment of knights to that town. So are you saying that Teresa would be in charge of that specific squad level deployment as a senior officer?
Well, okay, how about this? Head of security.
In an order of 50 people. What I'm getting at is we don't need to create job titles for hyper specific things that can be delegated to senior officers in charge of a particular aspect. I am starting to wonder if we should put Teresa in as chapter master.
That works.
Because from what I've seen, she has the best spread of stats and the best background, frankly, for leadership.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what I was saying, but yeah, like
Well,
essentially in charge of the entirety of.
Well, exactly. Like chief of security, though, it's like a small organization. And as a knightly order, it's kind of right. But that's one of those things that would get expanded into a specific detail. Usually lower on in the chain of command. All right, so we have Chapter Master Teresa. So I'd slot myself in then as Chief Apothecary, given I believe I have the highest medicine score. I'm going to toss in one more senior officer. All right, so current arrangement, as I've set it up, Chapter Master is Teresa, Chief Apothecary is Lucina, Chief Librarian is Dr. Stein, our Castellan. I currently just have as Ulrich, one of the older knights in training. Spy Master is Freemund, Master at Arms is Stone Soup, who I'm actually kind of tempted to put. Here's a question. How do we want to handle the training of new recruits once we've reached a like the minimum size for full strength?
That'll be
You
handled
mean
by
at
the
that point
NPCs.
after I can't do it myself? Because there's too many people?
Like that'll all be handled by the whatever NPCs are in those positions.
Well, what I'm getting at is, do we want, given the minimum squad size for deployment, do we want to have a specific group dedicated to the training of new trainees, and they'd be trained as a group?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be me.
Right.
Well, there's your answer.
I was gonna say, yeah, you would have a dedicated instructing group. You'd have 2 or 3 instructors for sure.
Yeah, once we get all these people trained up, I'll pick people who are
Stand out.
exemplary to who
Yeah.
stand out to take on those duties for themselves.
All right. Sorry, some of the stuff I'm not like wording the way I'm meaning to. One moment.
Yeah, the whole idea that I had behind the creation of the order was to minimize our input. We started up, and then the order is ours. Yes, we have control and dominion over it, but they operate independent of us unless we are absolutely needed, not the other way around.
I get you. It's what I'm building here is that way there's also like a way for it to grow into. You know what I mean? Basically, I'm slotting us in at certain key command roles for paperwork reasons, and then we are, peppering in the other people and growing the rest of it in.
Very diplomatic approach, yes.
It's also because it's important for structural reasons for us to have official position.
We do.
And stuff. Yes, we are Knights of Vibay, but it's important for the actual organization of a chapter of Knights for us to be written into its command structure. This
I'd
is a
say that's
feudal
kind
society.
of just an understanding thing.
It is a feudal society.
Exactly. It's an understanding thing. They're
It's
the
also
boss.
written
That's
in.
the end of the conversation. There is no show me your papers in that conversation.
Actually, there's a lot of show me your papers in medieval life.
In nobility side of things, yes.
Not even in nobility. In general, there is a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I rotated the building again. It's back to the northwest.
Yeah, give me some time on this. I'm gonna. Here's a question for how we envision this order functioning. So when it's deployed, we've got small, about 7-person sized teams. Do we want those teams as their own, like, isolated cell, or do we want fluidity between members? Like
When they're in the field cell structure.
cell structure?
Yeah, when they're in the field, like you gotta realize when I say a 7-man team, I don't mean 7 knights going to the front line. I
Yeah,
mean
I know.
7 individuals going to do a job, a
Right.
task. Whether it's rob a bank of a nearby, or rob a vault of a nearby country, or go gather information from nearby country.
Right.
Yeah, that's the 7-man team. Those should be always
Alright.
independent cells.
What I mean is the personnel that create up cell 1 is the unit designated cell 1 always going to be composed of the same knights, or do we
Yes.
want that
Oh,
flexible?
absolutely.
Okay.
Think team composition. You don't want to keep shuffling your teams around, especially if you have a team that works good together. You don't want to break them
Yeah.
up.
Like I said, wanted to confirm. All right, so let's see. We have the headquarters staff, the command cadre, and I currently have 5 cells set up, cell 5 being the novitiate cell. Wait, out of curiosity, why 7?
Multiplication.
Explain.
7 times 7. Target number's 50. You have 1 leader, 7 cells.
No, that's lucky.
All right, there's a question then.
Answer: daily double.
Do we have the orders marshal, spellcaster, and expert? Do we have those as separate organizational structures from the cells?
The training side, yes, but the cells will have a mixture of everything.
All right.
So, like the training, yeah, the marshals will train together, the experts will train together, the spellcasters will train together.
Right, like
And then
in basic.
Yeah, the next phase of training, their specialization, they will train how to work with the other parts of their cells. And that's when you have your C school, your secondary schooling.
Okay, so that would be when they enter the actual novitiate squad.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
Like when they're actually doing live action roleplay. But Pete, basically what we came up with was the idea of the CIA in medieval times. That's what our organization is.
Right.
Yep, that's the goal.
Although I'm imagining something less like the CIA and more like we become Bond villains, basically.
Yes.
Now that
I mean, the
like to
CIA
Why do you
are
say
Bond
that like there's
villains.
a difference?
Oh yeah, you make a good point.
Thank you, Burger.
Actually,
Yep.
Freeman, here's one. Do we tie in elements of the Society of the Spiritual Ribbon to this?
Freeman would not, because of
Reason-
Freeman's goals.
Right. Reason I ask is because of the society cell-like structure, but also the option of as contacts.
The reason Freeman would not is because he, in all honesty, Freeman dislikes the Order. They sit on their hands. They do not take action unless they absolutely have to, and that's why Freeman's one of his end goals is to create a better version of the spiritual ribbon, and this is the basis of that.
What better way to subvert it than by subverting it?
Exactly. He dislikes the fact that the Society of the Spiritual Ribbon doesn't take action. And he would much rather have an organization that is the equivalent of the Society of the Spiritual Ribbons, but they'll actually do stuff with information that they gather, not just sit on it.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. If that's your goal, to produce a kind of reformation, tying the order, which is already highly decentralized and loose, into these knights would be an effective way to do that. Because now you have access to the contacts that you can begin converting. See what I mean?
Yes and no. Because if you, even though they're decentralized, you're still making the suggestion that the Knights of Aptalar would be a subservient to the spiritual ribbon, which Freeman would disagree with. So he wouldn't incorporate them in any way other
I
than
don't
maybe.
think it's that organized for subservience to be a Is it under?
Sorry, what?
My understanding is that the Society of the Spiritual Ribbon is like even more diffused than the Harpers.
Yeah, they're not very hierarchical at all. You know, there's no like known leadership at all. It's more people with of a like mind who want to take certain actions to thwart evil and tyranny in the world. They're pretty loosely organized. And yeah, they don't really do much because they're not organized. They're operating as individuals rather than as a unit.
Yeah, they're just, I know a guy kind of situation.
And that's why I'm asking if we tie in the contacts, because we can then use that web of contacts as both a means of enhancing the Knights of Aptalar's intelligence gathering ability, but also begin influencing that network because we will be more structured.
Well, more structured and more inclined to take actions on intel.
Exactly, which allows
From that
us
perspective, yes, I was misinformed then for the Society of the Spiritual Ribbon. I thought they were more hierarchical.
No, they're
Oh
not.
god, no. That's
No,
what.
that
That's the
was
reason I
just- that
brought
was
it
just
up. It's like we could just subvert it.
Yeah, that was just a misconception. So I've got a rough just text layout. Da-da-da-da. Let me get rid of some of these. 1 second. I somehow ended up with the paths together.
Do we want to use a more prosaic name than cell?
Quad.
I said prosaic.
Unit.
All right, Ultra Smurf.
Click. Gang.
Warband. I feel like
Yeah, go with-
Warband would actually be very time period appropriate here.
A band?
Yeah, but their purpose isn't war. Like
Yeah,
the
right, fair enough.
yeah,
Lance?
think of like covert op team. That's more of what they are.
Lance makes it sound like they're operating some kind of high-tech machinery,
Or cavalry.
or I guess.
All right, so I've redone the layout. I moved the front entry over a little bit so it lined up better with the entire
Spear.
structure. You want me to ask Ulfric? Or I'm
What's
sorry,
Ulfric?
Ulrich.
What's Ulrich?
Ulrich, the commander. Actually, I don't remember what his name is.
Ulrich?
Ulrich, yeah.
Yeah, because we'll have Ulrich set up as Teresa's successor.
There's one thing that bothers me with the Game Master engine. The only archers are either goblins, kobolds, or uncolored.
Uncolored. What, they couldn't call them elves?
No, like they're all just gray instead of in color. Like they have like a bunch of fighters and mages that are in color, and then archers are just the gray horde. The well-known Imperial Guard Regiment, Astartes Chapter, Traitor Astartes Legion, the Tyranid High Fleet of the Grey Horde, the Orc Warband of the Grey Horde. Pretty ubiquitous in particularly the 40k tabletop setting. But I think if you want to look at the stream ruffles, I got the general layout of the castle footprint and a far too large gate.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are literally just gonna be swinging gates. It won't be a portcullis or anything.
Okay, so let's see. We
More
have a
like-
chapter master for overseeing the operation of the organization as a whole. We have the apothecary for handling our medical branch, librarian for castellan for the building itself, a spy master.
Yep, pretty much like that. It's slide them over a little bit so they're both centered, and then put like a pillar if you want on the outside edges, like where a hinge would be. You'd have a support column there.
Actually, here's a question. How would this organization handle small scale losses within a cell?
Are you saying like what would we train them to do? Burger, go down to the 6th row down, second one in that column, and just use that and stick it on the edge of the wood. Obviously, shrink it
A
down.
little bit big.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sort of. So like we
I
have
mean,
the
what would we
basic-
train them to do in that situation? Well, we would, give them the focus comm, talk. People die. You have to stay focused. You have to stay calm.
No, that's not what I mean.
I think
You
it
mean,
means
like,
like long
replacing?
term. How do we replenish those ranks?
With
Yeah, how
new recruits that fit with their like. You would do trial runs with your novices, your recent trainees,
Right.
and you would cycle them through. Like, so let's say you have a sect of 7, and one of that sect dies.
Oh shit, that's what we'll go with sects.
Oh, that's stupid.
I like sex.
Me too, but that's not what it means.
I was just about to say, now we can all say that they have had sex.
Yeah, you have a sect of 7. Let's say their burglar dies. Their guy that's their climber, their wet work guy, or not wet work. What's the
Yeah,
Grease
like
man.
pull a new.
You pull
one
from
up to
the
initiate.
trainees of Greasemen, and you take every single Greaseman you have, and you run them on a drill together, and you do it a couple of times, and whatever one fits best, the one that they just communicate well with, that's the one that they recruit. That's their new member.
All right.
Yeah, you don't just grab. Oh, you're the highest ranking. You go into this squad now. No, you run them through because you always want these teams to be their best form.
This is all important for the official documentation.
And then oh, you just didn't do any of the exterior stuff.
No, the
Oh,
the
also
grid was a little bit small for that.
so you've got. Oh, I see. Okay.
Wait, actually, Pete, you said you wanted to train the marshals, right?
Yeah,
All right.
it's kind of the only thing Stone Soup is really qualified to do.
He trains the beatdowns.
Well, I think she is also proficient in animal handling, so she could train them in horsemanship as well. I don't know if she's very good at that, or if she's proficient in land vehicles. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Burger, there is a more updated. Because for what's currently your northwest, the layout's ever so slightly different for the corners there. That would essentially be the front, like your left side of screen.
Like here.
No, that wall is good. The other opposite side of the gate. There you go. And then down it, yeah. So there'll be a notch in for the front entryway that'll kind of go into like the visitor vestibule, and then yeah, I guess it's kind of just the scaling issue is the biggest problem. Because right now, how those tiles are mathing out, that your tiles are 7.5 feet.
Yeah.
All right.
The,
So chapter master covers.
Can you scale those unilaterally or no?
What do you mean?
Can you just scale the x axes and not the y and z? Like you make a half wall essentially. Instead of doing what you did, can you scale them? Go to your scale sliders real quick. Okay, so yeah, you can then. Yeah, so yeah, you can delete all those and just scale them to half size on the I think it'd be X. That's left and
Maybe
right, right?
Y.
Y, yeah. Nope, X.
What did that change?
Although if you can select all,
I don't know. I think Y is the thickness of it. Yeah, so Z is the height and X is the wideness. All right, there we go.
yep. So X is the one you want to scale. There you go. And that would be a door. I haven't quite decided where the That's perfect. It's in works. It's in progress. That's the door.
Perfect.
There we go. That's
Defensible.
perfect. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna screenshot that. Here you go, Under. You can see what we're laughing at. It's the door.
The finest of defensive measures.
Indeed.
Let's see. Nope, that was the wrong axis. A little bit less.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, we'll go with that. X.
You know, I feel like long term though, Freeman, we need to have 7 sects of 7.
What the fuck?
Why sects?
Because it's the closest thing to flavorful esoteric wording that was picked.
This feels
Like
like a
9
weird
pieces
thing
of
to call
8.
a group of 7 knights.
Well, and I mean, in respect, like
Why not just call
military
them septets or
deployment.
something?
Military deployments, yes, they will be knights, but for all other, like all intents and purposes, everything else they do, they're operating as covert operations. They're not. I mean, they're not really knights.
Right.
They're spies.
They're totally spies.
So then why not just call them cells?
Because Gilbert wanted something else.
Fair enough.
Too modern.
I don't know, sect feels like a weird choice, is all I'm saying.
Exactly.
So, Pete, what do you think of the new revision of the layout? Oh God, Gilbert, that's
What?
all the Sect 1, Sect 2 with all of that.
Well,
That's
yeah.
a lot of sects.
I'm going to include the names of individuals in those sects.
Oh, I guess it's sort of section.
I guess a little
Sure.
I guess a little organization is bound to have a lot of sects.
Well, I typically refer to it as sector because they would kind of operate in the same area, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd have one sect deployed to Lushingworth. Then you'd have like two sects in Swartfort as our, yeah, see, we have knights, they're completely, totally knights.
We'll need to up our minimum strength then.
But anyway, Pete, house layout, does that look better?
Yeah.
So you have your visitors, like your studies and coffee rooms by the front entry area, and then you also have your stable right there, so it's somewhat isolated and not a noise problem. Then you have the East Hall, which is all of your guest and entertainment area, where you have your ballroom, your large fancy dining room. You have a small kitchenette for, supply and servitude and where the food is staying ready and heated and warmed. Then you have your servant access kind of area to the more central where they walk back and forth from the primary servant area. And you have your primary residence to the, the western or southern wing, if you can call it that. And then you have your servants over on the western wing, and the knights reside above them.
All right. So we have each sect, which is dedicated to a particular region that section will operate in. We have our command cadre at least its minimum. So a person for each particular branch, with each section leader reporting directly to the chapter master. We've got the apothecary to train our healers, our chief militant to train our marshals, and our spy master to train our spies. And spy master will also work with the chapter. Perhaps I haven't set this up correctly. Does this feel too centralized? It feels too centralized at the command level.
I mean, you have to kind of have it centralized for the approach of from the outside. It is just an order of knights, so you would have a centralized structure with that order.
That's true.
The covert wing is where your, knights can separate and go on to the more covert side of things. Like, some of the people we recruit just won't be cut out for covert.
That's true. Yeah, so they won't be good for the
So
sections.
we will have just straight up military personnel.
Good point. And I will need
So
to work
we
them
will
into the
have
disposition.
from a front, it will be just an order of knights. That's the idea.
All right. So, how many martial dedicated knights do we want to have at the keep itself for overt deployments? Probably about 2 sections, do you think?
I'd say, yeah, 1/3 of our total force.
All right.
Like, just standing ready, I guess. I mean, in all reality, we're building something that doesn't typically exist where we're building it.
I don't know why they put knife turkey under mythical creatures, but I appreciate them. Don't have a horse, so we'll substitute with look like a saber-toothed cat. Too small to be one. A hyena. No, also just four. Everything small. Everything up to double size.
Actually, here's a question. The ones who aren't cut out for wet work, how are we training them? Are we dividing them based on martial and medical capability, or are we going to try to train
Yeah.
them both ways?
No, they'd be trained whether they're a medic or they're uh board sword. They just go through that, and then they'd have a different sect that they join that would just be a primary military force and not designed for covert.
All right. So, I have it currently set up with the command cadre, the order militant, and the order hospitaller, which are going to be the martial and medical wings of the not covertly the ones who we would not want on wet work duty, including marshals specialized for more overt action, and then our 5 sects or sections. So that would be 24 knights at home base plus command cadre. So probably about 31 knights in the home area.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that tracks.
Chapter Master will be our supreme commander. Spy Master will handle organizing the sections. Chief Apothecary trains our hospitallers, both section and order. Chief Librarian handles our orders collected lore, documentation, making sure all that shit's squared away. Chief Militant we have for training all of our marshals. Spy Master would also be needed to train the spies.
And your spy master and librarian work together for information processing as well.
Mm-hmm. The Spy Master works with the Chapter Master for disposition organization.
Yep, organizing the sects and deploying them where that's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Together, the spy master and the chapter master are in charge of making sure everyone has good sex.
Naturally, we have to encourage fraternization.
What?
He lacks
Did you hear
critical
what Burger said?
No, I heard what he said. I'm just like, wait, but why would you want to encourage fraternization? That
To make sure
never
everybody has
date
good
in-
sex.
Oh. The cruise missile might know where it is and where it isn't, but Gilbert sure didn't.
Poor Gilbert, we're just going through all the puns tonight.
All right, so minimum strength where everything is staffed wouldn't be 50, it'd be 65.
It's fine.
Hmm?
And remember, since we're adjusting the manor to be accommodating to the knights, our guild hall can, our guild can be bigger than 50. 50 was the minimum size of using
Right.
only the guild hall.
Yeah, no,
Since
I gotcha.
Since we're including those upper floor apartments for the knights, all of the echelons, the higher ranks, are going to have apartments at the manor, except for probably the commander.
Why would the commander not? I'm gonna step away for a second, guys.
I can't believe you've done this, Gilbert.
Alrighty.
Oh, Burger, don't worry about that. There'll be a palisade around the exterior.
You know, the expenses of our place are going to be so goofy.
Why is that?
Think about it. Some dudes spying on this nightly order, and they're like, okay, I've been keeping track of this stuff. Their costs are for like a group of knights, maybe 2 or 3 times their size, and we keep encountering their knights every once in a while in positions that they shouldn't be able to reach. How big is this group of knights? We only ever see like 20 of them at a time at the keep.
Like smash cut to us trying to tell people that, yeah, there's only 20 of us. There's definitely not another 50 that we don't tell anyone about. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like, yeah, what is it? 31 knights plus the novitiates, and then the 5 sections. And actually, the real benefit is if we tie our network, since we're tying our network in with the spiritual ribbon, it enhances our spy network. We have actually really good information flow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it enhances our information gathering. It doesn't enhance the spy network. Because the spy network implies that we can deploy from those positions.
Oh yeah,
It just enhances our information network.
So how do we handle section spread?
Um, starting out, let me pull up the world map real quick here.
Like these are being deployed what? Like adventuring strike teams?
At first, no.
I'm talking once we're established.
Once we're established, they're like, yeah, global strike teams.
All right, so I will build a. We'll probably need to build in a dedicated spy cadre.
I mean, what's the initial, once we get to 50? How many groups are there for covert teams? Or how many sects are there that are deployable as covert teams? Well, when we hit 65, whatever our flag cap point is that you're establishing right now. Bueller. Bueller?
I hear you. What are you saying?
I was asking Gilbert what the quantity was. It 5 for the covert teams?
Is Gilbert
Gilbert.
even here still?
I think he might have stepped away and didn't say anything.
He
He said
was here
something.
just a minute ago.
Oh, he did? I didn't hear him say anything.
I didn't either. He's dead. That'll throw people off.
You have to drive around the pole.
Open the gates, a giant stone facing your way.
I'm back.
How many Gilbert are there for the covert teams? You said 5, I think.
I have 5 sections accounted for.
Yeah, so then you just put those in the local cluster, so to speak.
What?
For you're asking for deployment, like where would you deploy them?
I was meaning more like our methodology. You know, once this thing is up and running, you know, we have our information gathering network, we find out there's a problem, and then we deploy them from their current position, like a
Yeah.
adventuring strike team.
Yeah, and they're all just sectioned in, or they're stationed in different regions, different holds.
Oh, we're going public and global?
Yeah. What's the point of learning something about, like, you know, the Loser Dynasty if you have to wait a month to get a team there? You just have a team stationed in the Loser Dynasty posing as, you know, like, even something as simple as mover merchants.
Okay, I've got you. So the sections are also going to set up a front. I gotcha.
Yeah, they're gonna be out and about.
All right. At first I misunderstood. It's like, wait. Like we're setting up a public chapter house there? What?
No.
Right. That's why I wanted the confirmation. We're just a humble group of knights, the Knights of Aptalar. We exist in the Duchy of Vebey. We don't do things globally. What are you talking about? Hey Under, how much oversight does our liege have on our knightly order?
Basically, none. The idea is, you know, you're not going to go off and start a war on your own. But as long as you pay the requisite taxes and nominally refer to them as, your liege lord and follow any orders they give you, they don't really look into how you organize yourselves interiorly or how you run your lands and your business.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea of
the CIA as your vassal doesn't realize the CIA is your vassal.
That's the whole idea of setting up the aforementioned fronts, quote, is if we do need them to do something that would benefit the Duchy of Vebey, we just have the age-old true of plausible deniability. They're not going to carry around a sigil that says they're a Knight of Aptar. They're not going to carry around an identification saying they're from Duchy of Vebey. They're just some, traveling merchants or traveling
Oh, come on.
medics.
We're not even gonna give them a little gimmick.
That literally defeats the purpose. It will all be passphrase. Assign and countersign passphrase.
Fine, we won't Alpha Legion this shit.
Ah, yes,
The
they will
passphrase is
carry a
always-
banner the size of a man with our crest on it everywhere they go as they're performing all of these covert ops.
It'll-
More ruffles with the Alpha Legion. They're so overt as a like a spy organization that they're covert. They have spread false information so thoroughly and so viciously and far that it is impossible to determine truth from lies. They will act overtly and covertly entirely for the purposes of confusing the situation even more.
I have a foolproof, what is it, a call and response? It's always going to be Flash and Thunder. Everyone knows that no other region has the TH sound that the Bay of I does.
Under how large on average are most of the knightly orders in the Duchy of Abay?
Okay, go ahead.
The nightly orders vary from, maybe a dozen knights to a couple hundred. It depends a lot on what they do.
I assume the one that fights Arcazar is a couple hundred undead specialists.
Yeah, they're a big one.
What do some of the dinky ones do?
Peace and stability to his new empire.
Tax collection.
So they don't have specialized, except for like the one that's at the border with Arcazar. A lot of them don't really have a specified area of responsibilities. They basically act as just a kind of localized military and security force. They, like when your local bandits have gotten to the point where they're now actually threatening the stability of a town. For instance, they do something like slash and burn a bunch of crop fields in an effort to try to drive prices up or to allow them to manipulate food movements. Those nightly the liege lord in that region is going to be like, that nightly order, go find those bandits and kill them. Bring me their heads. They've gone beyond the pale, and so now we're calling in like specialists. Also, if there's disputes between rival leaders in like between two barons or two viscounts or something of the like, and if they have knights under their umbrella, they might ask a knightly order to go and say sack a town or take a castle, that type of thing.
Well, our knights would be really good at that. You need us to take that castle? We already got guys in there. When do you want it?
Hey, we need you to take this castle. We'd rather not do that.
Okay, we'll have them swap the flag over.
Why would you rather not do that? Because technically speaking, it's already our castle. It's just a matter of the flag. I think there's like maybe 2 servants and the new hire, like one of the new acolytes who aren't technically part of our Knight Order. Oh shoot, that's right. I forgot to account for not for, well, yeah, for the servants.
All right. New layout. What do you guys think? It's not square. I'm not going to bother squaring this. It's actually a lot of extra steps to nudge all the dots to the right grid coordinates so that they're perfectly straight.
Does that come out about here? I can't believe you're making more work for me. I will cry.
Okay, seems okay to me.
Is this a 3D representation of what's going on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying out a engine. It's like specific to D&D. Oh, you didn't have that corner cut out?
Yeah. Yeah, I missed a small detail.
Are we going to be concerned at all about the section skill diversity?
I mean, you basically have them built. I mean, in all intents and purposes, they're basically independent adventuring parties.
All right, so we'll leave composition to their means and their methodology to them.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you'd have like of your sects, you'd have one sect that is just fucking phenomenal at B&E. Like they're in and out while everybody's home sleeping. Like they're that good. And then you'll have another group that's a little bit better at say harassing the locals through various means. Like they're all going to have their own sort of niches and specialties. You can't really diversify that. That's kind of more
Right,
of a
right. Each section is going to naturally adapt to its surrounding environment.
well, and then also naturally adapt to its party, capacity. Like not so much the surroundings, it's more so the what the sect is made up of. If you got 3 burglars in one sect, well, they're probably going to be really good at getting into places.
What about
Whereas,
what about the situations where a section determines that they are not equipped to deal with the problem alone? We should probably have some other sections that we can deploy. Yeah.
well, yeah. Like yeah, for now we're just looking at I gotta turn you up to you're really quiet all of a sudden.
We're having to grassroots this.
Yeah, for now we're just getting our roots down. We're establishing where best being deployed will be beneficial, where assists can come from, or if we want to do more along the lines of having deployable my dog is refusing to come inside. Sorry. Or having a more of a deployable style, but that will come with, the information that we gather.
Right. And having secondary deployment teams would be a later stage event.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, the five teams that are going out are going to be our initial seeing how it's going to play out, how well it's going to work having this set up this way. And if it works well, then we'll keep it as is and have, more teams go out and increase the density. And as the density increases, let's say you have 2 teams that are operating a day's journey apart from each other. Well, they can support each other now. If one team all of a sudden goes dark, you can have, let's say you have Sect
right,
1
but the sections
city.
the sections aren't communicating between each other.
Mm-mm. They're communicating back to us, and
Right.
then we'll inform, like, oh, well, we haven't heard from Sect 1 in 2 weeks. They're a week overdue on their check-in. Then you have Sect 2, who's only 3 days' journey away, go to the city they were last reported in and investigate. And that's
Yeah.
where Teresa's skills will come in for the investigation side of things.
I can already see this going horribly wrong, and I love it.
No system is perfect, Gilbert. We already established that.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, I do expect every once in a while an entire cell to just go dark.
What I mean more is like, from a DM perspective, what can I do with this organization?
You know what my perspective is on that, Gilbert?
What?
Find out when it happens. Not my problem now.
Oh, no, I know. I'm not talking about like DM proofing it, because that's literally impossible.
Oh no, I have no intention of setting it up
What
how
I-
I would set up this kind of organization.
Right.
If-
I'm saying, like, I'm looking at this organization, I'm thinking, as a DM, if I was having to deal with this being in my campaign, how would I deal with it? How would I work it into the setting?
Well, we already heard Under say he's taking notes, so I expect something interesting as a result of us doing this. I mean, Under knows, because he has my background, what my, purpose is with this.
Which, of course, you're keeping secret.
I mean, it's not really a secret. It's just Freeman's goal is to find artifacts to aid with relinquishing demons of their livelihood.
He has a lot of goals, it seems.
Well, that's like his end goal. Like that's his I am done. I have completed my life's journey. Currently, he wants to get his fiance back so he can get fucking married. And then work Stone Soup into the deal somehow.
Your ass is grass.
What?
Hell hath no fury, and I ain't getting involved in that initiative. It'll be one of those
I
rare
haven't
times
figured
that
out
Under
the
says
rules yet.
roll, and I'm going to be like, I'm not getting involved.
Oh, and for perspective, Burger. Oh yeah, I suppose those pawns are about the right size. Yeah, that's a 20 by 20 room with a 10 by 5. Like that room that you're in right now. That's a
I'll be right
big
back.
room.
Yeah, I don't expect this to be very to scale at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, them some big tables.
Yeah, I think I scaled these up. Yeah, these are extra half the size they normally are. 'Cause normally they're that big.
What about the secret passages?
Well, we don't have those on the public display model. Then they
I was
wouldn't be
gonna say,
secret.
yeah. You don't have those on the architectural blueprint.
I
Defeats
have
the
an
purpose.
idea. Make every wall a secret wall.
Every single wall you touch, it spins like a Scooby-Doo house.
Yes.
Some rogue comes sneaking in thinking they're clever, tapping on a wall. I found a secret. This must be the only secret wall. All right, I'm going to go in.
The wall opens immediately up to a group of very peeved looking knights.
No, it just goes into the room they were just in. And then they, they look into another room and it goes in the room that they found the first secret door in.
Let's go here. What about that far?
You know, something else occurred. Wait, no, that'd be a bad idea. Never mind.
I'm all ears.
Well, now I'm even more curious.
No. I was gonna say, the cells could also always just hire adventurers if they really needed extra support bad.
Well, yeah. You'd grease palms if you were out and about and was like, okay, wait a minute, this is a
After
little
all-
bit bigger of a
after all,
problem.
We are experts at this point in being hired by shady organizations. But something we're definitely going to need to do, Ruffles, is find a way to occlude our recruitment.
Huh?
We'll need to continue to do our recruitment from the unnoticed populations.
Yeah.
Because if we start drawing any amount of our recruitment too heavily from more obvious sources, even for the overt elements of our knightly order, it leaves an information trail.
Well, yeah, you pick up strays for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like even for like you pick up the unwanted because nobody else wants them. Well, we'll take them. We'll make them into knights. Whether they're knights with a sword or knights with a
knife.
Yeah.
Alright, well, it seems like you guys have kind of brought yourselves to a natural conclusion for setting this part of it up, at least.
Yeah, I can't see any more to do with the organizational structure other than add little notes to that.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so I think we can just call it there then for D&D.